Hello everyone, my name is Albert Guisti and today we are going to look at how to draw this cube in two-point perspective using the measuring point method. Now the measuring point method can get a little bit tricky, but if you practice it a lot and do a lot of drawings with it, it gets a lot easier, and in my opinion it is a more accurate way of drawing in two-point perspective. Now when starting any drawing in two-point perspective, you have to start with your horizon line. Now it's just a basic straight line, as long as you can draw it, because sometimes vanishing points and the measuring points can get quite far along your horizon line, so it's always good to have a longer horizon line. Right. The next line we need is your ground line. Now the ground line is a height of the center points of your eyes to the ground you are standing on. Right. But in this case, because we are only drawing a small cube, we are going to use a distance of 150 millimeters. Now the ground line you draw exactly parallel to your horizon line, but 150 millimeters below it. Right. Now the next line we need, which is one of the most crucial lines that we need for this drawing, is your center of vision. And to get your center of vision, it's actually quite easy. Just take any point on your drawing, preferably somewhere in the middle, just draw a line that's exactly perpendicular to your horizon line, straight down. Right. It's also nice to draw it a little bit longer than you need, so that you don't have to go and extend the lines or change your line work again afterwards. Right, now to get to station point. Now this is one of the most important points of a drawing, because you are going to use it as the origin point of your vanishing points. And to determine your station point is actually quite easy. There is a distance you are standing from the object that you are looking at, that you are drawing. But in our case, because we are only drawing a small cube, we are only going to offset this line by 200 millimeters. So for our station point is going to be 200 millimeters from our horizon line, so we just draw a line that's exactly parallel to it below the horizon line. Okay. Now I'm just going to trim away some of this line so it looks nice and neat. Right. The station point will always be like a little cross like this. Okay. Now to find your vanishing points. Now the vanishing points depends on what the angle is between you and the object you are looking at. Alright. In this case, I want the cube to be rotated to the left at 30 degrees. So my vanishing points are going to the left at 30 degrees. But now the right vanishing point has to be a precise angle, because the angle between your left and your right vanishing points has to be 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw a line at 60 degrees to get a perfect 90 degree angle between these two lines. Right. Now before we can actually start to draw the cube, we need our measuring point. Now we will need the measuring points to determine the length of the sides of the cube. Okay, and to do it, it's actually quite easy, it's not that difficult. You're going to take your compass if you're drawing on paper, or me that's drawing on computer. I'm just going to draw a circle from my right vanishing point to my station point over here. I'm just going to trim away most of the lines, because you only need a small arc that indicates that point on your horizon line. So I'm just going to trim this away. Okay, so now I've got my right vanishing point. You see why I call it my right vanishing point, even though it's to the left of my center of vision. So I'm just going to do the same with my left vanishing point. Going to just draw a circle so I can trim away most of the lines. Okay, now you've got the basic framework of doing a drawing in 2-point perspective. Now to start drawing this cube, I'm going to use this pink line as the construction lines for this cube. But for this purpose, I want this edge of the cube to be exactly in line with my center of vision. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing a line from this midpoint to my left vanishing point, and the same to my right. Now I've got these two lines to start my cube. Alright, so I've got the angle between these two exactly perfect. Okay, but I need the length of the sides. And to get that, we are going to utilize the measuring points. Now to do that is actually quite easy, but you can get confused very quickly. So I'm just going to take a line, and I'm going to start by measuring off how long the left side of my cube is going to be. So I start by measuring from my center point over here to the left for 80 millimeters, because the cube space is going to be 80 by 80. Okay, and this point I now draw to my left vanishing point. No, sorry, my left measuring point. The reason why we call this a left measuring point is because the line you draw from your left to your right to that point will intersect lines going to your left vanishing point. Right, but I'm just going to trim away those lines because we don't need any more lines after this point. Now I need to measure off the right side of my drawing, so I do the same. I measure off 80 millimeters from my center of vision, and this point I draw to my measuring point right, and I trim it away from that line. And if you look closely, these 2 points actually gives me the exact size of the base of my cube. So in this instance, I'm just going to draw the cube in green. So I'm going to start by darkening these 2 lines, and now I've got the base of my cube. Right, but now we need the height of the cube. Now because this edge is up against this line, it's exactly in line and up against with my picture plane. Now the picture plane is actually quite an abstract term, if you can call it that. I've drawn a drawing here a little earlier that shows you this point. Now imagine this is a sheet of glass. This top line here is your horizon line, this bottom line is your ground line, and this red line represents your center of vision. Alright, so the space between my horizon line and my ground line is just a sheet of glass, and the cube we are drawing is in line with my center of vision, but that edge is also touching the sheet of glass. Alright, so any line that touches this sheet of glass is a true length. So we don't need to use the measuring points to get the height of the cube. So we are just going to draw a line that's 120 millimeters high, to get the height of my cube. Right, But now we need to construct the top half of a cube, these two lines over here. And to do it's actually not that difficult because we've already determined the lengths of the sides. So we are just going to choose our construction lines quickly. And from the top of that line that we've just drawn for the height of a cube, we are going to draw lines to my right and to my left vanishing points. Okay, but to get these sides of a cube, it's actually quite easy because we've already got the sides of the base here. So we just draw a line straight up. The reason why these lines aren't canted at any angle is because we are only drawing in 2-point perspective. It's only in 3-point perspective where you have a third vanishing point somewhere up here, usually much higher or lower, to get that angle exact. So now we've got the final shape on the front of our cube, the sides. So we are just going to darken these lines. And there we've got the two sides of the cube that we can see. Right. Now we need the top. To get the top it's quite easy. We just take our construction lines and we go from each corner to the opposite vanishing points. Like so. As you can see, this intersecting point gives us the last corner of the cube. So we are just going to take our green line here and complete the cube. Like so. And there we have drawn this cube. That's 80 by 80 by 120 millimeters in 2-point perspective using the measuring point method. To make it a little easier to see, I'm just going to switch off the lines quickly. And there you can see the cubes drawn perfectly in 2-point perspective. Now this method you can always go and apply to different drawings. You can even go apply it to drawing big buildings. It's a very accurate way of doing 2-point perspective, and with a lot of practice you can master it quite quickly. So yes, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you later. Thank you.